Welcome to our 8th Unite Information webinar. We're excited to pass on some key information today. And so Ruby, what can we be doing to communicate in this format since we're not on Zoom?
Yeah, we would love for you to first and foremost welcome. And in your chat area, we'd love for you to first share your church name and your conference. And then throughout our conversation, if questions pop up, we'll pay attention to them and try to answer them the best that we can. But yeah, you can utilize the chat. And then also know that post this meeting, you can go on to coveyouth.com and check out all of our resources and the things that we'll be referencing today.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, without further ado, we're going to hand it over to Eric. Yay. And he's going to tell us who's speaking at Unite this year.
Yeah, so we are super excited. We're going to put it in the chat here shortly. Jordan's pulling that up and kind of walk you through who's speaking at each location and who are our campus pastors. So Jordan, when you're ready, you can go ahead and drop that into the chat for people to see. And I'll also say this, there'll be a social media kind of infographic with people's headshots, bios coming here in the future. But since everyone's here, these are key stakeholders. We just want to run through the names with you. Some you'll know, some are new. Some are part of our Covenant family. Some are part of the CIY folks that we've heard and see speak before. So I'm going to wait for Jordan to put that in. I'll start with campus pastors. So as you know, the schedule is a little bit different this year when it comes to, past Chicks and Unites. So we actually don't have base camps in the morning. On Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have large group sessions. And so we have our campus pastors at each location leading through that. And for Unite West, we have Paul and Britta Berger leading that space. And then for Unite East, we have Matt and Aisha Cox. So without further ado, I'm going to read these names in the chat, and we are super excited about it. So at Unite East, drum roll, please. We have Grace Shim, Abraham Zadinga, Hannah Driscoll, Steve Carter, and Cedric Hardman joining us this at Unite East. We're really excited. We know that Grace, actually our staff were led by her in this really powerful devotion this last year, and I think it's going to really set a tone. And there might be tattoos handed out after the first session, but not to give too much away. So we're super excited about that. Some of the names you might know there, like Steve Carr has been part of stuff in the past with the Covenant Church, but Abraham Zadinga, Hannah Driscoll, and Cedric Hardman are all people that have really been, within different student ministry camping settings. But really, all of our team, interim youth team, CIY feel super great and encouraged and couldn't be more excited how God's going to lead at Unite East. And so then for Unite West, we have Troy Nichols from Sacramento, Covenant pastor there. We have Miguel de la Mora, who is from the around the Chicago area as a communicator. Megan Fate Marshman, if you remember her from Unite's past, she was there with us. Vanessa Cruz, and then Susie Gamez, who's also at a Covenant church in Midtown. So we couldn't be more excited about this lineup. We think it represents the mosaic of our Covenant church and our students and what we want to, hopefully we believe that God's gone before us to equip and encourage and engage our students and leaders this year. So that is our speaker lineup. And you're going to see on social media later, probably early next week, mid next week, kind of like the beautiful little headshot graphics that you can be able to share. But we feel free if you really want to kind of Google these individuals. They're phenomenal Christ-following communicators, and we are excited. I mean, it is, I will say this, and this is just full disclosure here. It is not a small feat to find double the communicators for a student at the exact same time, at the exact, the same week in two locations. So, yeah. And Jordan and myself and the team, we many hours in prayer, asking the Holy Spirit, would you just go before us and already work in the hearts of these communicators. So we could not be more thrilled to see how God's going to lead. So I can actually pause here. I'll want to say one more thing. So again, the campus pastors are going to be leading those morning devotions, and we have some exciting things that are coming creatively what that's going to look like. But just to give everyone a reminder, refresher about how the day looks. I know the schedule's it's already posted in Cover Youth, but just to kind of articulate again, the tone of the day each day is I use the phrase a crescendo. So the mornings are going to be a little more pulled back worship, like setting the spiritual tone of the day, the content, the devotions, leading into youth group time. like setting, we want to really set students and groups and leaders and volunteers up well for the entire day. And so that'll be the morning of youth group time, head to lunch and afternoon activities, all the fun, the tournaments, all the great stuff. And then we'll have what in the evenings, these are the speaker list that you saw there are the evening speakers. Campus pastors are the morning communicators. So just want to make sure that's clear. The evening sessions will have more of that energy, like what we're used to in main stage. But really want to make sure we engage those mornings to kind of like really set the tone, not just like blast students in the face, mostly for a number of reasons. Those who have sensory issues, it's a lot going on for multiple sessions a day, but also just really how do you like find yourself starting here, we want to end here. So that is our update. And by God's grace, this is exciting. So we are absolutely thrilled.
Cool. Yep. That's amazing. Thanks for sharing that info. So I'm betting that some folks here are already Googling who those people are. So that's great. Yeah. Thank you guys for all your work on that. I know it's been a long process and I'm super excited about that list. That's great. So, and yeah, definitely. We'll be looking forward to those promo resources so we can highlight who they are with our people. So, cool. That's great. By the way, we're going to do Q&A in a little bit here. So if you do have questions, you can start thinking about those, maybe write them down so you don't forget. And we'll get to those here in just a bit. Ruby did post in the chat the daily schedule, which Eric just referenced. So there's a link there. It's also available at coveyouth.com, which is the link that Ruby posted, but in that resources tab. So Ruby is going to talk a little bit about scholarships because we do have some scholarships available, which is really exciting. So tell us what's up with scholarships and how can we get connected if needed?
Yeah, we are just so stoked at God's provision in these scholarships. We know that times are tough and we don't want finances to be a barrier for your students to attend Unite. And so our Cov events team has been working furiously to find funding. And so we have, for every conference, 33 scholarships that are provided. They're $150 per voucher. So that goes one per student that requests for a scholarship. The way that you go about that is you connect with your Unite liaison or what you would consider your Unite or Covenant coach, and reach out to them and they'll have access to those and then they'll let you know the next steps to go forward. I also want to mention in this moment too is that for some churches, you're doing really great with fundraising or you have means beyond what you need for Unite. And so I just want to remind you, talk up the Legacy Fund. This is a fund that we have in the Covenant to help support students in attending Unite, especially in our Unites to come. And so this is a great way. So Jordan also wrote in there, big thanks to Covenant Ministries of Benevolence, Covenant Trust Company, and National Covenant Properties for their generous contributions. So we're super thankful for that. Scholarships also are for any new registrants. So that's something to pay attention to too. You can figure that out on your end with your finances, but the scholarship vouchers, once approved, will go to new registrants.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. That's great. And if anybody has questions, Ruby, about scholarships, are you the key point of contact or who's
they would first go to their conference coach.
Right.
And then if they can't answer it, then certainly reach out to me. But first and foremost, go to your conference coach.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great. That's awesome. Cool. Jordan said in the chat that they can apply to registrations as well. So great. There's a process for that. That's so we'll get it figured out is what we're saying. We'll make it happen. Cool. Okay. Awesome. So the next thing then is registration reminders. Speaking of registering. So Eric, I think there's some key dates coming up. What do you want to remind us about registration
Yeah, so May 1st is a big date. So if you've not registered, actually, I've talked to 4 or 5 youth groups that have had their students and leaders pay the church, but they haven't done the next step to register on Brushfire through the CIY process. So if you've already put your deposit down, May 1st is your next deposit. And so you can find that information. I actually can help drop this into the chat as well.
Okay.
Just so people can see as a reminder of what that looks like. So you on your Brushfire account, those are the steps you'll take to make your next payment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's when May 1st is a big day to be reminded of, because when the registration price does go from early to the next jump. So just be very aware of that when it comes to your finances and like what you're planning and all the sort of like financial aspects when it comes to your youth group and church heading into Unite.
Cool. That sounds great. Awesome. Okay. So if you have questions about that, Chelsea, about registration, Chelsea from CIY is our key contact.
Yep.
If anybody has questions about registration or making payments, different payment methods, things like that, just shoot her an email and she'll get right back with you and walk you through that process. So, all right. That's super, super cool. Okay. Ruby's got a reminder for us on where to find documents.
Yeah. So I've gotten a couple of phone calls from youth leaders in a panic. And so to ease your worries, I just want to point you again to our Cov Youth Space. If you look under resources, there is a ton of resources. So anything from our leader prep, which kind of talks about safety and covenant identity. There's a curriculum in there. And just kind of preparing our hearts and minds for what it means to be all together. And so that's a really important document to check out. There's also a step-by-step process for registration. And so if you're just overwhelmed and like don't even know where to start, there's actually photos too. If you need visuals, it's super handy. So check out that registration. As you're thinking about transportation, there's different protocols for both Unite West and East. So just pay attention to that link. That's where you'll find forms and how much things will cost per site. As you're thinking about housing, if you need to extend prior or post Unite, there's a form that you fill out, and it also has the financials there for you. And then this is super important to me as I'm helping recruit volunteers. But if you have people in your congregation, youth pastors, lead pastors, volunteers in your congregation that are skilled in areas of prayer, of security, of helping with facilitating games, there is a volunteer form that you can fill out. And once we've made contact with them and approved them, we'll get them all situated for Unite. But there's an explanation of roles, so types of roles that we're looking for. But I just strongly encourage you, if there's someone in your congregation that you're like, I would love for this person to be with our covenant youth, that could be an encouraging and loving presence. We would love to have them. So let us know who those people are, and you can just find that on the volunteer form.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, it's Q&A time, but while you're dropping in your questions, I'm going to highlight a few upcoming opportunities, and then we'll get to your Q&A. So the first is that we want to encourage you to check out the previous webinars for Unite if you haven't yet. A lot of that info that Ruby even just we've gone into more detail with. Also, our next Unite webinar is going to be May 9th, same time. So 1 p.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Mountain, so on and so forth. So you can mark that on your calendars right now. So Thursday, May 9th. And then lastly, our next Cov Youth 101 webinar is coming up. And the theme this month is walking alongside students going through a hard time or in crisis. And so that webinar is going to be focused on what it looks like to come alongside students and families in crisis. And that will be, I have absolutely the wrong date in there. So it's actually April 25th. I'm sorry about that. April 25th is the next Cov Youth 101 webinar. So All right, it looks like we have a question in the chat.
Christopher asked earlier, what social media platform will the speakers be announced with the photo and bio? We'll put that on Facebook, Cov Church Now, and you'll see it on Instagram. You'll see the first full slate of the speech site speakers, and then figure out a way to how to release the bios. But yes, there'll be a number of ways where that'll get released. So I believe like social media, Cov Youth, Cov Church Now will be all spaces where those will live.
What's the Instagram account called? Is it Cov Youth, or is it Unite, or is it Cov Church, or is it?
Yep, it's Cov Church. Yeah, yes.
Just making sure we're all going to the same right place. So cool. Okay, sounds good. Any questions? I'm not seeing questions in the chat. So if you've got questions, we'll give you another like 30 seconds to drop them in. Ginny did pop a question in the chat real quick from a youth worker she's connected with. For parent registration, are there pre-forms that we can give to parents to fill out? I'm not sure exactly, Ginny. Do you mean like if the parents want to sign up, or is this like for the youth pastor to collect information from parents before they sign their student up for Unite? But let's assume it's that, Eric. And how would you respond?
Yep. Yeah. So let's go with the version. So if the parent looking for a form to fill out for their student or the person they're responsible for, that all happens through Brushfire and with CIY. So that through the email that gets submitted from the youth pastor for the parent, that happens on the back end that way. There's not like historical, like we used to bring the big packs of paper for registration. This is all handled through Brushfire and the registration packets. So yeah.
So the youth pastor goes in, creates their group, and then puts in contact information, parent email, and then it sends the parents the email.
Correct.
And the parents can put the information themselves.
Yep. And I think it's also on the website, also for those next steps. And then yes, so then there is an EMR form that goes for the parents to fill out.
Cool. Sounds good.
I'm actually going to answer Sarah's question about sensory sensitive kids during sessions. We will have separated spaces, Sarah, for students with sensory issues in the arena or proximity nearby. So I might have touched on that the last webinar, but yeah, that will be for sure a space that we provide. Has been a really important spaces for Unites and Chicks Pass, so that will be an option as well. It won't be actually in the arena, like in the main room itself. It's a separate space, but in the complex of the arena. So flashing lights, the loud noise will not be as prominent in that space.
Cool.
We are doing site visits. Actually, one coming up here this Sunday. Our Unite East team is gathering. So once we get on site, we'll make some decisions on what that looks like, and then we will make sure that it's updated and very wayfinding signs and spaces clearly articulated.
Cool. Right on. All right. Eric, what's one thing you don't go without at a conference or an event like this?
Oh, good walking shoes. And that's the deal. Like, shoes that, like, if you're walking miles and miles a day, you make sure I always pack like extra socks and really good walking shoes, because
right on.
Your feet will be, a lot, like it's a lot of walking, long days. So I'm always a proponent of being a Hoka shoe guy, my running shoes, or just throwing things out there. So
there you go. Eric's affiliate link is in the chat. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, just kidding. I'm just saying thanks for tuning in. If you're watching this later, we hope this is helpful. Feel free to let us know if you have further questions via the contacting us at covyouth.com in the chat. And we hope to see you at the next Cov Youth 101 webinar, which again is April 25th at this time. And it's all about coming alongside students and families in crisis. So make sure you tune in for that. And our next Unite webinar is May 9th, also at the same time. So looking forward to seeing you then. And we're getting close. So we're looking forward to seeing you at BGSU or SDSU. Woohoo! So awesome. Thanks, y'all, for your time. Have a blessed day, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you soon, y'all.
See you guys.
Is it shoot, I'm gonna look it up real quick. I'm sorry, y'all. I had 51st, which is not work.
That's not a date, Jim.
No, I thought that. I was like, huh.
Yeah,
Okay, Jim.
I think that might be June. Something.